may address the Council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the Council meeting but who wish to communicate with the Council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could gallery visitors, councillors and invited online attendees ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Wellington Shire Council acknowledges our offices are located on the traditional lands of the Gunai-Kurnai Nation. We pay our deep respects to the elders, past, present and future, and acknowledge their ongoing cultural and spiritual connections to their land and waters. We are all present tonight, so there's no apologies. Is there any declarations of conflicts of interest? No? Adoption of minutes of the previous council meeting. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of the 20th of February 2024.
And someone to second that? I think Councillor Ripper by a whisker over Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that, Councillor Wood?
Thank you, Mayor.
Item 4, business arising from previous meetings, there are none. Item 5, acceptance of late or urgent items, there are none. Item 6, notices of motion, there are none. Item 7, we have a few petitions that we're dealing with tonight. So if I've missed anyone in the gallery, if there's anything that you want to speak to that's coming up on the table of contents, just put your hand up if I don't know that you want to speak. And you come to lectern, you've got 3 minutes to address the council. So outstanding petitions, we have one, the Kemanes feedlot. We don't need a formal resolution, is not required, but council, if in agreement, emphasise that the feedlot petition is now resolved. There is still matters that are ongoing, but from a council perspective, that it's under control. So we have another petition which is for 7th Avenue, which is a further item on further on the agenda, so we don't really need to discuss that one at this stage, but we'll accept that petition.
Yep. That'll be brought back to the next meeting, Mayor.
Yep. Item 7.2, receipt of petition Yarram swimming pool. I believe we have some people that would like to speak to that. Yeah, come forward and just state your name and you have 3 minutes to address council.
Sure. G'day everyone, my name's Deb and thanks for allowing me to...
Full name please, Deb.
Oh, Deb Eldridge.
Thank you.
And thanks for allowing me to speak to you today regarding the Yarram pool petition. I'm sure you've all had the opportunity to read the 65 pages on the agenda showing 1,600 signatures, 7 support letters, a newspaper article and photos of the building and surrounding streets. But I would like to give you my personal reasons for this petition. It's because of my knee. Have you ever woken up in pain and you couldn't outstretch your leg to put it onto the floor? Well, that's what happened to me in December last year, which kicked off my health and wellness journey. I hobbled off to the doctors who diagnosed osteoarthritis and then the physio recommended aquatic exercise. Being 56 and having 3 kids of my own, it was time to look after myself now. I discovered Yarram's heated indoor pool and loved it. What I didn't love was not knowing when it would be open next. How do I find out this information? There are no Aqua Energy logos around or any information at reception that this facility is run by Aqua Energy. I talked to the lifeguards about it. They said look up on Aqua Energy's Facebook page after 4 p.m, as that's when the opening hours are listed, but it relies on sales trigger temperature of 25 degrees. Yarram's pool is an indoor heated pool. Why does it matter what the temperature is outside? It also took me a month to realise Yarram had a designated exercise group time as well, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The ladies in the exercise group who are here today with me have their own health journeys, and I thank them for their support and showing up for me today. We would all dearly love to have water aerobics classes, but one step at a time. I have been going to the pool daily since December, sometimes twice a day. I've had some success at weight loss and gaining strength and movement in my knee, but I still have a journey to go. The heated pool has certainly helped this, and I'm a much happier person with this exercise. But now it's coming to an end after 105 days of the scheduled open season, of which only 81 days of it actually being opened. We have lost 3 weeks of pool time. I have 2 questions for the councillors. Why did you decide to spend $771,000 on enclosing and heating this pool to only be open for 4 months of the year? And what are your hobbies? Golf, tennis, painting, lawn bowls, gardening? What would you do if you were unable to do these hobbies for 8 months of the year? Would you drive a 130-kilometre round trip to do them because you know it's great for your mental health and socialisation? What would you do if your passion was taken away? Thanks for listening. That's it, I'm done.
Thanks, Deb. Thank you. No one else on that? So if I can get someone to move that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm prepared to move that Council receive the attached petition regarding extending the opening season at the Yarram swimming pool beyond 11th March 2024 and refer it to the General Manager, Community and Culture for a report at a future Council meeting.
And seconded by Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Deb for being the lead petitioner on this petition and for the 1,600 odd people that have signed it. It's great to see that the community is so passionate about the pool. We will have a report. We have already had a workshop on the issue of the pools, and there are several issues that I probably might get my ears smacked by the Mayor later on, but just briefly, before you do get a detailed response from our GM, I mean, budget is certainly one of the big issues for the council in operating the pools, and the cost to the council of opening the pools is quite large. I mean, the manager of community recreation and community sort of indicated to me that we probably need something like $7,000 or $8,000 a week to open our pools. Another big issue we have at the moment, of course, is we have a shortage of lifeguards, because a lot of our lifeguards are uni students who go back to uni, and so that makes it very difficult for us to open the pool. But on a positive note, one of the outcomes of this petition is going to be that we are going to form or reform the community-based committee to discuss the use of the pool, the operation of the pool, not only the length of the season, but when the season starts and finishes, and also, oh, hang on, I've lost my train of thought again. That's not a good thing. Oh, the issue of a water-based aerobics. Unfortunately, we have been trying to find someone that can be qualified who can run water-based aerobics, and we've had a few hiccups there because you do need to be trained. I understand that there may be now a couple of people in the community that are prepared to do that, which is fantastic, and so therefore that is it's another issue about how we do that and when that can happen. I take on board your point, and I must admit I agree with the point about the fact that we haven't really publicised the slow swimming times as well as we should have. I think I might need to stand on the commercial road with a sign, Mayor, when it's open. But so there are a number of issues that we need to address. It's fantastic that the petitioners have been prepared to not only sign the petition but come to support it tonight. So I thank you for that, and I hope that we will get some positive outcomes from your actions.
Can I say something?
Everyone's looking at me.
What?
So Mayor, just from a procedural point of view, tonight is really about just receiving the petition. A report now needs to come back to council. So certainly we can, if there's any more you want to add to that, we can add to that. When it comes up again, so council won't make a decision tonight because the way petitions work is they must receive it. Normally it will sit on the...
I just want to put my point through.
It's up to you, Mayor.
Happy to have you come up and talk to it as well. Got your 3 minutes. So state your name.
I'm Christine Rendell. I was a Venning. I was brought up in Headley and I was brought up in Gippsland. You all talk about money. I live at Alberton now. My husband and I are on a low wage. I love the pool. I have rheumatoid arthritis deeply, really into my bones. The pool is fantastic. I haven't got the money to drive here to Sale or to Traralgon to get my relief. You've got to understand there's not much in Yarram for us middle-aged ladies, unless you go to the pokies, go to the pub. Well, some people go to the pub. There's not a lot for us to do. The pool is like our thing. You all think that it's going to cost us money, Gary. Yeah, well, money might cost you all money, but it costs us more to drive over to Traralgon or Sale. Diesel is $2.10 in Alberton. Now, I've got to pay that to fill my car up, to go to Yarram. I go to Foster Doctors because Yarram is shit, sorry, but that's another point. But I haven't got the money to do much with my life. So the pool, for me, is my exercise. I've met ladies here that I would never have met in the community because as I don't work because of my rheumatoid, I don't meet a lot of people. So, you know, I'm just saying, I know money is a big thing for you all, but be on my shoes when we are low income and we haven't got the money to put in our car to drive. My husband works at Woolies. He's got to drive to Yarram every day and back. But for me to go anywhere in a long distance, it's not happening. It's too much money. Okay, so I just wanted to put my view through that some of us can't drive an hour and a half. I have to take medication sometimes to drive in the car because of my pain. So I'm just letting you know, yes, money is a thing, Gary, but a lot of us don't have money. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Item 7.3, receipt of petition, Mafeking Hill Corella issue. I believe we have someone to talk to that.
Thank you. My name's Ben Horsford, a local resident over in Mafra, and I've written you this petition in regard to the ongoing and ever-growing Corella issue, which is continuing to develop into an unsustainable problem to Mafeking Hill directly and the township as a whole. We, the local residents, are seeking some assistance in helping with the relocation of the above-mentioned birds in consultation with and guidance from DECA. Whilst we appreciate there are no guaranteed outcomes, we're desperate to see some effort made to ease the burdens being created, such as, but not limited to, the land itself, the property damage that's being incurred by the local residents, the impact it's having on tourism to the township, and arguably and most importantly to local residents' mental well-being in the community. We thank you in advance and eagerly await your response. Obviously I've written that as part of the petition, unsure of how all this sort of unfolded, but since then I guess there's a little bit of a backstory. I've spoken with Ian outside. I've got quite a bit of video evidence which I'll send through. This has been ongoing, like I said, in here for probably 10 years and worsening greatly every year. This is not an issue that I'm raising, I won't lie, individually. Initially it was, but after speaking with so many people, it's affecting the schools and in ways that you would assume, you know, distractions for the students, etc., etc. But after speaking to the school, they've been in touch with DECA and spent quite an amount of money over trying to reduce the feed on their lawn, etc. So what's happening now is the birds are going in, ripping out the lawn, and that's creating an issue for their emergency evacuation area. So it's something, a bit of a byproduct, was that me, sorry, which I hadn't thought of myself. Like I said, I was doing this selfishly because I've just had a gutful of the noise. But we've got football clubs, although there's only 50 signatures on here, they're signing on behalf of all members and all players, the golf club, the bowls club, they're all on there. And it's not something we just want to throw at you guys and say, fix it, we've had a gutful. We want to work hand in hand and come up with some solutions. And along with Deeker, I've been speaking to Simon Ruff there, and they've actually now, through Deeker, they've established a group called the Corella Strategy Working Group, and Lachlan Butson has actually emailed Wellington. He hasn't had a response to try and get you guys on board to be able to collaborate and work together as, as a team, I guess, the way we should as a community, not just us come in and dump it on you and say fix it. So that's what I've got to say. There's a bunch of people that have signed that are more than willing to come in, principals of schools, like I said, presidents of footy clubs, golf clubs that are more than happy to come in and speak on their behalf, but I'm here initially, I guess, just to try and get it across. So thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Ben, and Ben will forward those videos on to me and I'll share those with the fellow councillors.
Absolutely.
And the management. Thank you, Ben. Now, can I summon to move that, please? Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your presentation, and thank you for the petitioners. I move that Council receive the attached petition regarding the Mafeking Hill Corella issue and refer it to the General Manager, Built and Natural Environment, for a report to a future Council meeting.
And second by Councillor Marr. All those in favour? Passed.
As I say, again, thank you for your attendance. This is the natural process that we receive the petition first and then ask for a further report from the officers, but also noting that I was over in Mafra last Monday, I think it was Monday a week ago, and certainly all around that area there is a lot of parklands that are probably attractive to our native species, but also to realise that it is a Deeker field of management of wildlife, but that doesn't mean that we won't await the report to see if there was any further action. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Crosley. Anyone that's in the gallery, you don't have to stick around for the whole meeting if you want. You can if you want. We welcome that, but feel free that you can leave. Thank you, everyone.
Just further that, sorry, absolutely it's a deeper issue, but with the land where the birds are roosting, it is shy land.
Yep. Thank you. So item 8, invited addresses, presentations and acknowledgements. Do we have any? Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. I'd like to acknowledge all the staff and people that put together yesterday's Babies' Day out at Brennan Park. It was a terrific day with plenty of great activities. It was really strongly supported by the community and a lot of health services, and there were people everywhere. So it was a terrific event, and it saw a lot of people using Brennan Park, which is local neighbourhood park, and was terrific. Also, while I've got the floor, I'd like to acknowledge the Sale Amateur Basketball Association on running their recent basketball tournament. So they had 155 sides, which is bringing probably over 1,000 people into town. Every motel and accommodation was full up, and there were people parking caravans all over the place, and particularly Stratford and the showgrounds in Sale, and parked on the side of the road in a few spots. So I drove around and saw them all full. All the local businesses were flat out over the weekend, and it appeared that the tournament was an absolute success, with more than 11 courts being used in Hayfield, Stratford, Sale High School, Grammar, GRSC and Mafra, which was terrific, and well done to all those other associations who helped out and opened their facilities. So congratulations on those two community events.
Well said, Councillor Tatterson. Is there any other acknowledgements? Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. The same weekend as Councillor Tatterson, I went to two events, and the first was the opening on Saturday the 24th of February of the Mafra Men's Shed, the official opening, and it's also encompassed as a women's shed. So they've been working very hard to get the shed to an area that they can actually invite the public to. So that was a really wonderful event. But and there is a video on the Mafra men's shed, instead of having a bow or a ribbon, they worked very, very hard with timber, and that's a lot of what you use in men's shed. And they made this bow out of timber. I think there was about a half a dozen pieces altogether, and you will all know that if you haven't got a cable tie in your back pocket or in your car or in your bag on your push bike, you're not an Aussie. They had this cable tie about that long, it was folded over, and a little hole that had to put it through, hang on to it, two people hung on to either side and just pulled it out, and it just all fell to pieces. Now that was the absolute highlight for me and for all the public that were there of what they did. Now that's on the Mafra Men's Shed Facebook page, and it was fantastic. So that was on Saturday the 24th, and on Sunday the 25th I was invited along to represent council with the Mafra Triathlon. There was 200 entries. Now out of the 200 entries, there was 120 children. When I turned up, I was there about 2 hours prior to the event ending. But to see all those children running around, they're swimming, running and cycling. And they used part of the bike path this year to safety for everyone. And that was really, really good. So they're swimming, running and cycling, and solo and team events. So that was on the Sunday the 25th. And on February the 29th, Merloo Cricket Club, I went along with Councillor Mackenzie for the under-13 T20 cricket match. It's called a local derby. A really enjoyable event, and the hospitality shown by the cricket and hall committees was fantastic. A typical country event, and it brought me back a lot of years to where I grew up with halls and cricket and people and barbecues. It was really good. So I'd like to congratulate to the youth who put on a great show of cricket skills. Now, during their cricket, when they were playing, once they'd bowled, whoever the batter batted, then after that, there was music played so that the kids could jig around, and that was an absolute highlight. So it was a really wonderful, wonderful time. And their moves were fantastic too. But summing up on the Mafra Triathlon, as I mentioned, 120 children, and also the children that were playing, the under-13s that were playing at Merloo. Our youth are our future. We are in good hands. Congratulations to all the mums and dads, along with your grandparents and your extended friends and family, for your nurturing of our youth of the future in Wellington Shire. And I can attest, we are in good hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Is there any other acknowledgements? No, I have a couple. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Wellington Shire team and the new subcontractors that just completed a bin rollout for all of the residents that have bins for the Wellington Shire. Everyone will think it's no mean feat to do that. Can you imagine delivering 41,020 bins out to the residents of Wellington Shire? That was done over an 8-week period. Wow. What a great job to actually meet the goal of 8 weeks and to do that delivery and pick up the bins that were the old bins. People might think, what happens to the old bins? Well, your bins that just arrived that are nice and shiny are made out of 80% recycled bins from other shires. So our bins go to Melbourne to where the manufacturer is, they all get chipped and they get turned into new bins. So the circular economy works quite well. The new bins are more robust than the other ones. They've got some ribs in them that are fantastic to make them last longer, because after a period of time, those bins getting picked up for years and years and years can get softer. So the bins had to be replaced with the new contractor. But a real credit to our Wellington Shire crew, and a big thank you to the new contractors for rolling out 41,020 bins. I think that's just a fantastic effort by the whole team, so well done. The second thing I'd like to mention is I was lucky enough to attend on Friday night the Gippsland Gallery launch of Anna Mika Meehan's A Life's Work. It was a fantastic night, a lot of people attended, but personally I'd like to thank Anna Mika for letting us have that exhibition in our great Gippsland Art Gallery. It's a fantastic thing to have. There's over 200 pieces of Anna Mika's artwork that are on display. It spans 60 years of her work. There's many pieces that are in there that have never been seen by the general public because they've been commissioned by private people, and those private people wanted to display those in the gallery with Anna Mika's work. She turns 80, I believe, next month, and it's great to celebrate such a great artist that was willing to showcase that excellent artwork in our gallery. So I'll reach out to everyone. It runs for 12 weeks. Please come, get your family, get your friends, come and have a look, because it's well and truly worth having a look. And I'd also like to thank our gallery director, Simon Gregg, for his fantastic effort in bringing all that together, and his team that he leads quite well. So thank you, Simon and the team, and again, thank you, Anna Mika, for letting us display your marvellous artwork, and I stress, please come and have a look. Item 9, questions on notice. I believe we have none. Item 10, Delegates Reports. I believe we have none. Item 11.1, Assembly of Councillors Reports. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Marr.
I'd like to move that. I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor records for the period 12th of February 2024 to the 25th of February 2024. And
second by Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that, Councillor Marr? Item 11.2, Council's submission to the VEC Ward Boundary Review. Someone to move that, please. Don't all jump up at once.
Thanks.
Councillor Rossetti.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Council record. No. I move that Council endorses the proposed submission to the Victorian Electoral Commission's Ward Boundary Review of Wellington Shire. And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Rossetti. Thank you, Mayor. Look, we've seen the changes to the wards being mooted by the VEC. Clearly, the population shifts over time. It goes to a point where they're actually required to make the changes. Personally, I think the division up of based on geography doesn't suit all of our communities, but it's kind of the best thing we've got at the moment if we're stuck with a ward structure. So we've put in a simple submission there and look forward to the outcomes.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Item 11.3, Council feedback to local government reforms 2024 consultation paper. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Rossetti.
I move that Council note the feedback provided by the Chief Executive Officer to Local Government Victoria in response to Local Government Reforms 2024 consultation paper.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Rossetti.
Thank you, Mayor. And as noted by the covering letter from the CEO, we were disappointed that we didn't get enough time, a lot of time really, to be able to go through all of the proposed changes. But I do acknowledge that given we've seen many councils that have actually been completely dissolved based on not being able to resolve some issues with individual councillors, that having a crack at trying to find a better solution is actually a good step forward. So we'll wait and see what the reforms are ultimately, and hopefully they're workable and come to an outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. 11.4, S11A, Instrument of Appointment of Authorisation, Planning and Environment Act 1987 only. Kritsaya, Jintakom. If someone
I'm
could
happy to
move
move that.
Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council, in the exercise of the powers conferred by Section 224 of the Local Government Act 1989, the Act, and the other legislation referred to in the attached S11A Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation, the instrument, resolve that 1. Council Officer Kritsaya Jintakom be appointed and authorised as set out in the instrument provided in attachment 11.4.1, and 2. The instrument be signed by the Chief Executive Officer.
And seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. This is basically an instrument that will ensure that our council officer, Kritsaya, will be able to carry out their duties as per the Planning and Environment Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Item 12.1, response to petition 7th Avenue Paradise Beach. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Happy to move this recommendation. That Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to write to the head petitioner advising that Council will commence engagement with property owners on 7th Avenue Paradise Beach to progress consultation for a street upgrade project through a special charge scheme in line with Council's residential road and street construction plan.
And seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. The petitioners asked for Council to do work to upgrade 7th Avenue, and this basically falls completely within our residential road and street construction plan, because 7th Avenue, amongst a number of other roads, is identified in that plan as being appropriate for a special charge scheme. 7th Avenue is actually recognised as a local access road A in the Council's road management plan, which means it's noted that, there are 4 A, B, C, D, so A means that it's actually has a reasonable traffic, and clearly with the motion that Council moved several years ago to provide special charge schemes at a heavily subsidised rate to adjoining residents. I think the residents now have to pay $3,600, I think is the amount that's been in place for a couple of years. So to progress this petition, clearly the best outcome would be for the street to be constructed, would overcome, I think, the concerns they expressed. So I commend this proposal to the residents, and I hope that more than 60% of them will agree to have the street constructed, and then that will be a very good outcome. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Item 13.1, Council submission to the Gelliondale Wind Energy Facility proposal. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council, 1, Council endorse the submission included in attachment 13.1.1, submission to the Gelliondale Wind Energy Facility to the Minister of Planning in response to the planning permit applications PA 2302394 for the proposed Gelliondale Wind Energy Facility. 2, Council seek the Minister for Planning's assurance that in the absence of a formal environmental effects statement being required by the state government, all specific concerns raised in submissions by community members be thoroughly investigated and detailed responses provided. 3, Council liaise with the Synergy Wind to seek a memorandum of understanding to ensure that local community benefits arise from the development should be planning permit be issued. And 4, given that the application is being assessed by the State Minister for Planning, Council provide the Member for Gippsland South, Mr Danny O'Brien, with a copy of the Wellington Shire's endorsed submission.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. In that case, I would go back to Councillor Crosley. Would you like to speak in favour of the motion?
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. Just a bit of background, that the Synergy Wind Proprietary Limited is a proposal to develop 13 turbine wind energy facilities and utility installation battery energy storage system associated with building works and requires removal of vegetation and alteration to the transport zone. As you could see, there's quite a bit of detail that's required in planning permit. All of these planning permits for new energy is dealt with the Minister's Office, not with local government. I'd like to also address that in our submission, and also in accordance with the council plan, which had two of the priorities were number one, climate change, and number two, economy in transition, and the adoption of that plan early in our council business, 2021-25, at I think the first year of this council, that we endorsed and supported renewable energy as a direct consequences of our decision in that plan. We've also engaged in developing the Wellington Renewable Energy Impact and Readiness Study, which also covers off on those areas of both the opportunities but also of the risks. But in saying that the Wellington Shire's position statement on renewable energy also clearly states that we encourage and support the development of renewables in Wellington Shire. Having said that, there's also that we acknowledge that there are concerns and legitimate concerns for our community that should be assessed, and some of those are outlined here, but not, but are more fully addressed in the attached proposal. So there's environment impacts, particularly that this area is a sensitive area. There's migratory birds and important fauna and flora that are in that area, and it also is adjacent to the Ramsar wetlands, which is an internationally recognised state of a wetland. Road maintenance, and we've certainly outlined that we want to make sure with the MAU that the community assets of roads is re-established if there's any damage with the extra works, and also the concerns of noise, and perhaps there needs to be noise abatement and compliance that the state government needs to assess, and the implications and the potential implications of the Yarram aerodrome. So there's also a range of things that, although we're supportive, it's not a blank cheque of support, generally in support of renewable energies, but we need to make sure that the legitimate concerns of the environment and the community are addressed.
Thank you, Councillor Crossley. Councillor Marr, would you like to speak now or reserve the right?
I would like to speak now, if I may. I'd like to state that I live 5 kilometres from this proposal, and I certainly share the concerns with the community members that have certainly engaged with Council, and I certainly thank them. However, I find it imperative that a submission be forwarded from Council that is outlining the key concerns and impacts, particularly around some of what Councillor Crossley has touched on, the flora and fauna, noise, visual and flooding impacts, the location of the structures, particularly when more recently some of those locations were very much underwater, the consultation process, as well as the cultural and heritage impacts that also exist within that area. And we all know that it is listed as being near a very sensitive Ramsar site as well. The application will be assessed by the Department of Transport and Planning in accordance with requirements of the Planning and Environment Act, as well as planning guidelines for the development of wind energy facilities. There are other legislative approvals that are required, mainly with the Commonwealth Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, that will also require preparation of a public environment report, as the proposal is deemed a controlled action with significant environmental impacts. This is certainly a proposal that is very close to home for some of us, and I certainly believe that by the submission of this letter, it at least allows the community to know that we have actually engaged and we have listened to them and they have been heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Councillor Stevens, would you like to speak against the motion?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm not inherently opposed to the motion and the submission, but I am opposed to this project, and therefore thank you for the opportunity to basically speak against the project. I have serious concerns about the state government's view that a turbine can be placed within a kilometre of a residence. I mean, several states, Western Australia and Queensland, have a rule where you can't have a turbine within 1.5 kilometres of a residence. I believe Victoria should reconsider that issue. In some places, Mr Dyer, the Australian Energy Infrastructure Commissioner, he previously has stated, or I noticed he's watered down those statements in recent times, he suggested that a turbine with over 200 metres to the tipping point, which this wind farm will have, should be 2 kilometres distance from a residence. I mean, noise is a contentious issue. Councillor Marr refers to the EPBC Act. It is stated in the submission and confirmed there have been 237 notifications in relation to this project of items that needed to be dealt with. And these all need to be considered in detail before any planning permit is issued. The issue of Ramsar wetlands is of concern. Recently, the Federal Minister has quashed a project at the Port of Hastings because it is situated at a Ramsar wetland. This project has several of its turbines in close proximity to Ramsar wetlands, and these turbines should at least be removed from the plan. The same thing goes with the Marine and Coastal Plan, which says the state government controls all developments within 5 kilometres of the coast, and I believe there's at least one turbine that's in this area that shouldn't be allowed. Alberton Township is within 3.5 kilometres of turbines, and really the state government has previously stated that major towns there should be no turbines within 5 kilometres of a town. So I think that issue also needs to be considered. The fact that there are a couple of turbines that are in an area that was recently subject to inundation is another issue that needs to be considered. But overall, the Headley, Gelliondale and Alberton district is not sparsely populated as some would have us believe. The project will impact on hundreds of people, and I think that we need to take that into account, that it's not really a very remote rural area. It has a lot of properties, and I feel that I'd like to thank the Shire planning staff for the submission they've written. I'm not opposed to this submission going in because I think it's fairly evenly balanced and raises a number of the concerns that I'm expressing. Submissions are now open to the Minister, to the planning panel that the Minister has established. I would encourage everyone who is interested to make a submission, because I'll just close by just restating the fact the Council is not the responsible authority for this planning permit application. It is the Minister for Planning, and anyone at the local level who wishes to make a submission should do so. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Crosley, would you like to say anything else?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, I apologise. Would anyone else like to speak for? Councillor Crosley.
We're going to go to process and procedure. Thank you, Mayor. Just to sort of draw back to why we are moving to renewables, and as you say, you've had floods and storms down there, and this is a reflection of climate change, and climate change is going to impact adversely on us all. it's also imperative that we move swiftly to renewables to address that and mitigate the impact on climate change. I go back to the position statement that Council made, that in line with key priorities set in our Council Plan and the Wellington Renewable Energy Impact and Readiness Study, Council will advocate for and support renewable energy investment in the transition in the Wellington Shire. So we have to look at all of these proposals with that lens as well. And as I say, it's going to go through the panel. This is not just a flick and tick. These areas will be addressed. And so I think it's not in our area to address those. It's our area to raise those concerns. But the main emphasis is that we encourage and support, for a whole lot of reasons, for the impact of climate change that it's having on our community, on the possibilities and the options that will, positive options of jobs and skills and training. You know, the area could really start to develop instead of being a shrinking area of population. So there's a lot of pluses, and we need to keep that in mind, as well as I say, addressing the key issue of climate change and responding to our stated position on renewables, but also reflecting that there are concerns in the community, and that's what the submission has raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. So in that point, we'll go to a vote. So all in favour of the motion, if they could raise their hands, please. Against?
I was going to join you, Gary. I'll vote for.
So in that case, you're voting for. So that's unanimous. So motion is passed. Item 13.2, Crown Land Park leases, Sale Motor Village and Stratford on the River Tourist Park. Someone to move that, please.
Mayor.
Councillor Ripper.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move 1, Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to finalise the negotiation of new leases on Crown land reserves for the leasee, development and management of Sale Motor Village and Stratford on the River Tourist Park, and obtain all required approvals, including from the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action. 2, the information contained in the confidential attachment 13.22 Evaluation Report, Sale Caravan Park, and item 13.2.3 Evaluation Report, Stratford Caravan Park, and designated confidential under Section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020 by the General Manager Development on the 19th of February 2024, because it relates to the following grounds. G, private commercial information, being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage. B, designated confidential information under Section 3(1) Confidential Information of the Local Government Act 2020, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the names of the recommended leasees can be made public.
And seconded by Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to you, Councillor Ripper, I'd like to announce the successful tenderer as the Camp Krusty Operations Proprietary Limited for both Sale Motor Village and Stratford on the River Tourist Park. Congratulations, Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just give a little bit of background. On behalf of the DECA, Wellington Shire Council is the appointed committee of management under the Crown Land Reserves Act 1978, Victoria CLRA, and acts as leaseor, landlord for leases at Sale Motor Village and Stratford on the River Tourist Park. In accordance with DECA policy and guidelines, public advertising and a tender process commenced in December 2023 to seek new leases for both parks, noting the existing leases expire in April, Stratford and June sale 2024. Previous council workshops and reports regarding new Crown Land Caravan Park leases have been put forward the 9th of July 2022, 4th of April 2023 and the 16th of May 2023. The tenders opened on Tuesday the 23rd of November 2023 and closed 5 p.m. Tuesday 4th of January 2024. Community impact, this is very important for some residents. There are a number of permanent residents living in both parks. Letters were sent early to advertise the residency's rights would not be adversely affected. In doing so, the general response was that the residents were pleased to know this well in advance and had comfort in knowing where they stood. Community impact. The flow-on effect of implementing this report will result in a positive community impact. Through the evaluation process, tenders' responses on community impacts were assessed as to how the Caravan Park will work with local community groups and local business community and support local buy within the Shire and promote the Middle of Everywhere campaign. It is recognised that each caravan park is an integral part of the community and support other local businesses, tourism and visitor economy sectors. I'd like to congratulate Camp Krusty Operations on becoming the new operators in both Sale and Stratford. I'd also like to thank both the operators who will be leaving for what they've put in to their caravan parks, and I know that they have worked very hard to upgrade them, and also they have been involved with the community. So I'm sure that the Camp Krusty will be the same, because if you're not involved with the community, it's the community who you see up the street. Someone will come through in a caravan and they'll say, where's a good caravan park? And they will talk to the locals about that. So all in all, once again, thank to those operators who are moving on to bigger and better things, and welcome Camp Krusty to our caravan parks within the Wellington Shire. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ripper. Well said. Do we have any online comments, Mr CEO?
None, Mayor.
Do we have anyone in the gallery that would like to address Council on any issues? No? In that case, I'll declare the meeting closed at 5:52. Thank you, everyone.